onto our agenda here. So we've covered our resources and our job setup and some of our labels. We'll get to alerts in a second. We're going to start to look at, we looked at a little bit of bottlenecks and on-time delivery issues. What we're going to do now is we're going to load up the schedule with a lot of jobs. I think I'm going to bring in like 15 or 30 jobs into the schedule, and then we'll see how that works. All right, so the way this works is we're going to start talking about the buttons up here. The typical data flow, like we talked about, right? We grab orders in from the ERP. So how that works is your scheduler would hit this refresh planning data button. That basically goes out to the ERP, brings in any of the new information. It's like all those, the resource information, the inventory information, and the routing information, new jobs, and that sort of thing. So I'm going to do that, and let's see what happens here. So we hit that button, and our refresh will start. Refresh started. And our refresh has completed. Now, what we see now is I get some alerts in my system. I see that I have 16 total jobs, and I increased it, went up from 1. That's what that little indicator means. I have 15 new jobs. I can actually click on the new job alert, and it will sort my list of just the new jobs that just came in. Now, we talked about optimization and kind of automatically scheduling jobs, and that's what we're going to do in a second. But just to give you one more idea and one more way to do this, Plan Together lets you drag and drop from your job grid onto Gantt. So, for example, I could take this work order number 2 here, and I can just drag it onto the Gantt. So let's maybe let's put it on Tuesday the 24th. And there we go. I dragged it and dropped it. Now, I dragged it and dropped it, so it was late, but you can do that nice drag and drop from that grid. Now, let's kind of get more advanced here. We just want to schedule all this stuff, right? You're going to get new orders in. Let's schedule. Let's get it on there. All we have to do, hit our optimize button, right? So I'll go and do that right now. Okay, perfect. So all the orders are scheduled. We don't have any new jobs anymore. They've been scheduled. We can flip back to our all jobs grid. What you're going to see here now, remember we've got all of our colors, and you kind of see different resins have different colors. And now we see that there's some setup time here, not just run time. So as we change over, we're getting some long changeovers in this data set. A couple things just to look out for here. This particular job is outlined in red because I've categorized it as a hot job. So that's standard flag and Plan Together. If you want to identify hot jobs and maybe do some priority on them, we're going to do that in a second. You'll notice, though, we have one job that's late, one job finishing late. Now, we didn't really get an alert that one job is late. We just simply see it in the Gantt. So what I want to do is a quick exercise, show you how users can set up alerts to basically create these little custom alerts at the top here. So this is a job alert. I want to know when any job is going to be late. All right. So we come to our jobs list, and let's see. I'm on my all jobs view. Let's create a new view. Let's call it late orders. Save it. So now I have a view called late orders. Now what I want to do is filter my jobs view for only jobs that are late. And look at this. I've got a late flag. Now there's a lot of columns you can add here. Late is one of them. It tells you how late it is by an hour and 19 minutes. So let's filter our view to show me only late jobs. All right, now I can save that. So now I have a view. I can flip from all jobs to let's see, late orders. All right, and see that one order. But that doesn't give us our little alert up here. So if I want to turn this into an alert, I hit the bell, and we just give it a priority. I'll give it critical. Just change the color of it. And now what I see up at the top here, I have one late order. So check this out. If I go to the Gantt, and let's move another order late. Move this one out just to see what happens. Oh, there we go. I should have 2. So notice that went up. If I optimize and get these back, it'll go back down to the 1 order. All right, so easy. Every grid in our system has alerts, has layouts. You can really do whatever you want with that. And you have unlimited custom fields that you can add. So really anything is possible in these grids. All right, so Obviously, this red, if we didn't get it before, this red is telling us we have a capacity bottleneck on pelletizer 2. That means we are bottlenecked on pelletizer 2. All right, quickly, I can identify that. So let's next talk about doing some sequencing and some changeover reduction. This is the cool part. So what Plan Together does is I've loaded in something called an attribute. Let's open up one of these jobs here, this resin, this blue resin. If I open this job up, there's a lot of data in here, but I'm going to come over to my attributes. And these are all custom. You can load as many as you want into the system. But I have an attribute called ink, lightness, and resin. All right. The code is blue, resin B, and I have a lightness factor. It doesn't really matter, but maybe I want to sequence by going from light to dark, that sort of thing. So I can use that to do that. Now, there's a number of setup hours or changeover hours associated with each one of these attributes. And this field is telling me when to incur that setup. So basically it says, if my ink changes, I'm going to incur an hour of setup. If my lightness changes, my lightness code changes, I'm going to incur an hour. If my resin changes, I'm going to incur 3 hours of setup. Okay, so let's take a look here at this job. So we go from resin B to resin B. That means that we don't incur any time there. We go from ink red to ink blue. We incur an hour there. And then I know for a fact that this color and this color, this is a light pink, and this is a dark blue, the way I designed this. So I change my lightness factor as well, and that means an hour of setup. So we basically should incur 2 hours of setup, and that's what it's telling me. So it's dynamically calculating that. Give you another example. Check this out. If I drop, I'm going to take this blue order and match it up with this blue order, and we should reduce all the setup. Let's do that. If I drop it over here, notice it totally eliminated the setup. All right, and I'll show you that again. If I drag this order out here, it gets 2 hours of setup because it's doing a changeover. If I drag it up in here, it reduces that setup. All right, so that's kind of neat, right? It's all dynamic. It's all happening for you. So, of course, you can go and drag and drop to your heart's delight, but, of course, the more orders you have, the harder that's going to be. So let's use the optimization power Plan Together to do some sequencing for us, right? So I'm going to optimize this, just reset everything. So let's see if we can get some of these orders to kind of sequence together to reduce some changeover. This is a fun exercise. I love doing this. We've got something in Plan Together called key performance indicators. So these measure like different financial metrics throughout the system, production units, financial like throughput, revenue, WIP carrying costs, that sort of thing. One of my favorite ones, just for demo purposes, is this total setup calendar hours. So let me uncheck these. I'm just going to check one. And what happens on this KPI is like every time I do an optimize or any schedule change, it tracks this KPI. All right. So when I move that blue one up here and I save this a couple hours, you notice it went. Let's see if I can get back to it here. It went from 80 to 81. We saved 1 hour. All right. If I optimize, it went from 80 back to 81. We lost an hour. So let's do some standard optimization here. Plan Together, like I said, has some sliders for optimization rules. They can be set up really by resource if you want to. Right now, I'm just using one rule for the entire system, but I can have different factors in that rule. So right now, we're optimizing by need date. And let's see. Let's come down to product. Actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to add an attribute. So let's sequence by ink color. So what I'm going to tell it is keep the same ink together, keep the same attribute code. You can do different things. You can say like, if you had numbers in here, you could say schedule the next highest attribute number. But right now we're just using code. And I say if you keep the same code together, I'm going to give you 100 points on my score. Right? Let's see what happens. So I've set my rule. I'm going to run optimize. And let's see. So we get, this is interesting. It's kind of neat. So we dropped by 10 hours of setup. And what is it doing here? It is looking at my ink color and it's sequencing ink blue, ink blue, ink blue, ink blue. Different resins. I didn't tell it to keep my resins together. Ink red, ink red, ink red, ink green, ink green, ink green, ink green, right? So it's keeping, now it's keeping my inks together. Maybe we just want to do it by resin, right? So let's go to my attribute scan. Let's pull this one out. You know, you can add multiple in here too. Just want to give you an idea. Same attribute code. Let's add 100. Optimize again. Now we're keeping resin A, resin A, resin A, resin A, resin A, resin A, resin B, right? So you get the idea. Plan Together is doing some sequencing for us and helping prioritize these orders. Now watch this. This is a hot order, right? Remember I said maybe we want to prioritize this order? Well, we can come to our optimization rule. We'll keep the same one. Productivity. There's a slider in here that prioritizes hot jobs. Let's give this the most priority. And let's optimize and see where this job goes. Boom. So now Plan Together is prioritized that hot job outlined in red right to the front of the schedule. All right. So really simple ideas, but helps control, gives you as the user control of how Plan Together is going to do this prioritization. Now, for my last trick here with optimization, I'm going to reset these rules back to 0 and take our attribute out of there. There's one really cool rule if you have dynamic set up like I do in here, and it's just simply called, where is it here? Least setup hours. So I can actually just tell the schedule based on the current data in there. I can say, go and reduce change over my entire schedule. Go figure it out yourself. I don't want to tell you how to do it. You just go figure it out, right? So we'll put some weight on least setup hours. I'll save and close that rule. Remember, what are we at here? 63 hours. Let's see if we can do better. We'll optimize this. Boom. So now we drop down to 26 hours of total changeover, which is great. We don't have any late jobs anymore. And we're sequencing our resins together. And we are getting some secondary sequencing of our inks, right? So that's the idea. That's the idea. It's pretty straightforward stuff, but it's super powerful. Super powerful.